All right, let's get right into it. We're going to look at what this ancient text, the Bhagavad Gita, has to say about a problem we all face. What happens when you set out with the best intentions, but you fail? What happens when your discipline just breaks?
So, in the Gita, after Krishna admits that, yeah, the mind is incredibly difficult to control, Arjuna asks this exact question. And, it's a fear we all have, right? We start something new, a new practice, and that little voice in our head whispers, yeah, but what if I can't keep this up? What if I just fall right back into my old ways?
Now, you'd think a text about discipline would be really harsh, just full of try harder. But the Gita's take on this is, well, it's surprisingly compassionate. It's not what most of us have been taught about what it means to fail. Okay, so first things first, Krishna just completely debunks this myth of perfect discipline. He doesn't pretend failure doesn't happen or that growth is some perfect straight line going up. Instead, he explains that setbacks are actually a natural, even inevitable, part of the whole journey. So why is failure basically guaranteed? Well, because we're not working with a blank canvas here. Our minds have been molded for years by these really powerful forces, long-standing habits, deep conditioning, all these patterns we repeat without even thinking. Expecting to just suddenly have perfect control over all that? The Gita says that expectation itself is a kind of misunderstanding. And this is a total game changer. Our culture teaches us that failure is proof you're just not cut out for something, that you're unfit. The Gita completely flips that on its head. It says failure is actually evidence that you're in the game, that you're trying, that you are engaging with the process. It's a sign you're putting in the effort, not a sign you're defeated. So, if a little failure is just part of the process, then what is the real danger we should be looking out for? This is where Krishna makes a really crucial distinction. The true risk isn't the moment you slip up. It's not the one-time lapse. The danger is what we do next. We get so fixated on the mistake itself, don't we? That workout we skipped, the moment we got distracted, falling back into an old habit. We zero in on that single event and we label it the problem. But here's the twist. The Gita says the real damage isn't the lapse, it's the collapse of hope that can follow. It's that moment we let a small stumble completely destroy our motivation and our belief that we can even do this. That's the real fall. And this is what that collapse feels like on the inside. It's that harsh inner critic that just tears you down. It's that decision to just throw in the towel and abandon the effort altogether. And it's when we start believing that toxic story. See, I knew it. I'm just not meant for this. That's the point where all our progress really grinds to a halt. So if we do have that moment of collapse, does it mean all our past work was for nothing? Well, here's where Krishna gives one of the most reassuring and profound promises in the whole text. It turns out our progress is way more resilient than we think. Just think about that for a second. It's such a powerful idea. It means every single time you sincerely try to be more present, to be more disciplined, none of that effort is ever lost. Even if you fall back later, that attempt has already changed you in ways you might not even be able to see yet. So how does that even work? Well, it's a process. Every time you try, you're weakening those old automatic habits. You're literally strengthening the muscle of your awareness, and you're building a new kind of internal structure, a hidden stability that's growing under the surface. A setback might kill your momentum for a bit, sure, but it can't actually erase the learning that's already happened. Which brings us to a really crucial point. The goal here isn't to be perfect. The goal is to get good at recovery. It's all about learning how to return to the path. You notice you've drifted, you let go of the self-judgment, and you just start again. Honestly, someone who falls and gets back up over and over again is building more long-term stability than someone who never even challenges themselves in the first place. Okay, let's bring this ancient wisdom right into the here and now. How does all this apply to the real-world struggles we have with focus and discipline in our modern lives? I mean, this isn't some abstract theory. This is our daily reality. It's that endless burnout cycle. It's that new routine we abandoned after a few weeks. It's the constant losing battle with distraction. These are the modern-day versions of falling back that the Gita is speaking directly to. And the advice the Gita offers for this is just so balanced. It's not the harsh, just force yourself to do it, which only leads to shame. And it's not a lazy, oh, don't worry about it, which leads nowhere. It's incredibly practical. It simply says, begin again. Just without all the drama. And that's really the heart of it. A setback is just an event. It is not who you are. A lapse is a piece of data, not a final judgment on your character. The Gita is telling us to see our failures for what they are, temporary detours on a much longer journey. And the response is simply to get back on the path, quietly and persistently. Because when we learn to do that, when we normalize the act of recovery, that's where real lasting self-trust is built.